The 1933 Diamond T Doodlebug, commonly called the Texaco Doodlebug, is one of the oddest, most forward-thinking tanker trucks ever built in the early 20th century, and it didn't look like anything else on the road at the time. When you see its sleek, pill-shaped body, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was a futuristic concept car or a vehicle from a science fiction novel. But it was real. It was functional, and it was built specifically to serve a very practical purpose, to deliver fuel in a way that matched the modern, streamlined image of one of America's largest oil companies in the 1930s. In the early 1930s, a large portion of American homes were still heated with coal, a messy and filthy fuel that left a legacy of soot and ash on equipment, driveways, and hands. Texico, formerly the Texas Company, wanted to encourage customers to switch to oil for heating and motor fuel. To support this initiative, Howard W. Kaiser, superintendent of automotive equipment for Texaco, began working with designers and engineers to create a vehicle that wasn't merely functional, but symbolic of a cleaner future. This effort became part of a comprehensive rebranding initiative that included the creation of the modern Texaco Star T logo and a suite of visually striking service vehicles used for deliveries and corporate presence. While the Diamond T Motor Car Company provided the robust truck chassis and automotive expertise, the sleek, streamlined body was designed by industrial designers led by Norman Bell Geddes, with input from Walter Dorwin Teague and Texaco's own engineers. The specialized tanker bodies were built by the Heil Trailer Company in Fort Payne, Alabama, a coach builder experienced in custom heavy vehicle bodies. What emerged from this collaboration was a truck unlike any other, a fully enclosed, all-steel tanker with no traditional hood, cowl, running boards, or fenders, and a smooth, almost aerodynamic shape that tapered from front to rear, resembling what some described as a pill or bread loaf rolling down the road. One of the most unusual aspects of the Doodlebug was its rear-mounted engine. Unlike almost all other trucks of the era, where the engine was at the front beneath a hood, the Doodlebug's power plant was installed at the back of the chassis, directly in or behind the tank compartment. In the earliest documented versions, this was a Hercules L-head inline six-cylinder gasoline engine, a unit chosen for durability and torque. Historical articles from late 1933 describe the engine displacement as 501 cubic inches, roughly 8.2 liters, with the first engines rated at around 110 horsepower at about 2,200 revolutions per minute. Later versions increased power to approximately 125 horsepower, reflecting refinements made during early production. The enormous displacement and relatively low peak power illustrate that this vehicle was designed for heavy work and reliability rather than speed. Because the engine sat at the rear and far from the driver's position, hearing the engine to judge gear changes became a unique challenge. Instead of installing a mechanical tachometer, which would have required an impractically long cable, the designers placed a microphone near the engine in the rear compartment and connected it to a speaker in the driver's cab. This simple but ingenious solution let the driver hear the engine's note and know when to shift gears, a hint at how experimental the control philosophy of this vehicle really was. The Doodlebug was low to the ground, standing at only about 1.8 meters tall, which equals roughly 5 feet 11 inches, an astonishingly small height for a fully bodied tanker truck of the era. This low profile was a deliberate design choice, intended to reduce wind resistance and present a clean, modern image to customers and the public. Its length was about 7.9 meters or 26 feet, and the wheelbase measured about 3.5 meters or 140 inches, giving it a compact footprint despite being a long tanker. The body was entirely built as one integrated unit rather than a separate tank mounted on a conventional frame, which added structural integrity and contributed to the streamlined appearance. Fuel capacity for these streamlined tankers was significant. Contemporary reports from the 1930s state that the truck's tank held about 1,500 gallons, which equals roughly 5,678 liters. For the period, that was a substantial onboard supply, enough to make multiple deliveries or fuel a range of customer equipment without returning to base. Internal baffles were likely used to reduce fuel surge as the truck moved, a common practice in large tanks to protect stability at speed and during braking. Although often thought to be rare, historical records suggest that more than a single prototype was constructed. While early research indicated only 6 vehicles were produced, further investigation has uncovered evidence that at least 2 distinct versions of the Streamlined tanker were built between 1933 and 1934, and production for Texico's fleet likely took place between early 1934 and early 1935. These trucks carried the distinctive Texaco red paint scheme with bold block lettering and were used in promotional tours that helped introduce the company's modern corporate identity to key markets across the United States. The drivetrain for the Doodlebug was not typical of trucks of the time. Early documentation describes additional design features such as air-actuated clutch and gearbox mechanisms. Air pressure, drawn from the truck's pneumatic systems, operated the clutch and transmission controls, linking them to the driver's inputs in a way that simplified shifting heavy gears under load. The rear engine and drivetrain layout meant that the driver had a very low seating position near the front, giving the vehicle a silhouette unlike anything seen in other tanker designs of that decade. Despite its striking design and technical innovation, the Texaco Doodlebug did not survive long into the classic vehicle era. None of the original vehicles are known to exist today. Many were likely scrapped when they reached the end of their useful service life, and the specialized nature of their construction made them difficult to adapt to new purposes once Texico's marketing and delivery strategies changed. Some historical accounts suggest that none of the Streamlined trucks were preserved due to their unconventional nature and the limited number built. The legacy of the Diamond T Texaco Doodlebug, however, extends beyond its physical existence. It stands as one of the earliest examples of industrial design applied to heavy vehicles, a fusion of form and function in an era long before aerodynamics became mainstream in truck design. The compound curved glass windshield was decades ahead of its time, not commonly seen in production vehicles until the mid-1950s. The Doodlebug's bold aesthetic and engineering solutions also helped influence later fuel distribution and service vehicle design, showing that utility vehicles could be both practical and visually modern. Viewed today through the lens of automotive history, the 1933 Texaco Doodlebug is not just a quirky oddity or a relic. It is a testament to the power of design thinking applied to industrial problems, to how a company used technological ambition to shape public perception, and to how innovations often arise not from necessity alone, but from a desire to redefine what people expect from their machines. This streamlined tanker may not exist anymore, but its influence can still be felt in the world of commercial and specialized vehicles that followed. If you enjoy detailed stories about unusual vehicles that changed how industries operated and what designers dared to build, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next deep dive into automotive history.